Thank you very much, Sue. Are you all excited to ride the wave that is the International Speech Contest final for District 73 in 2022? I hope so, because there are 8 excited contestants waiting to deliver their winning speech. My name is Judy Murphy and I'm your contest chair for this contest. The international contest is the only contest that goes beyond the district level. The winner will have their videos submitted to the regional quarterfinals. 2 speakers will then be chosen to represent Region 12 at the semi-finals for the World Championship of Public Speaking. And I have no doubt that one of our contestants will be there on the stage in Nashville, Tennessee in August 2022. The speaking order, if anyone would like that, is over in the chat. I won't go through that because the judges have all of that information already. If anyone would like to turn their hand to judging themselves just for their own satisfaction, the judging sheet is on page 19 of the booklet. Now, the speaking area for this contest is defined as the field of view on the screen. We ask that everyone remain muted during the contest to prevent any unnecessary distractions to the contestants or disruptions to the recording. Our Zoom master has gone through and checked that everybody who should be muted is muted. This is being recorded, as you can see, and as you've accepted, and it's not possible. Well, no one else should be recording this as well. Please note that there's going to be a minute of silence in between contestants for the judges. And then after the last contestant has spoken, the Zoom master, Graham, is going to send the judges' counters and timers to a breakout room, and then I can begin the process of interviewing the contestants. Now, our timers, could you please show me a green light at the end of 1 minute so I know? Thank you very much. Thank you, Christina, for doing that. Now, our contestants, please note that you can see, Christina, the timer up in the top left-hand corner, and the timer will remain there for the duration of the contest. So, Christina, could you just show the amber and the red light as well? Thank you. You have all of those organised. Excellent. No one is going to be admitted into the room when contestants are speaking, so if you happen to drop out, Graham will let you back in once we are into the next minute of silence. Carl Hughes, our district director, is the chief judge for this contest. The judges, timers and counters have been briefed. Carl, are we ready to proceed?
We are ready to proceed. I had a look in the chat. I couldn't see the order of speakers. I don't know if that's been not put in yet. And just a reminder that everybody please have their videos off. That's it. It's coming in the chat now. And please remember to have your videos off as well. Otherwise, judges, contest officials have been briefed and we are ready to go.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Carl. Is everybody ready? Yes. All right. I'm going to ask our first contestant, Thomas Moore, to enter the room.
Can you see and hear me?
Yes, I can see and hear you. Thank you very much, Thomas. And you can see the timer?
I can see the timer. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you. Our first contestant is Thomas Moore with Este, riñón, faway, robado. With Este, riñón, faway, robado, please welcome Thomas Moore.
Oh no, contest chair.
You've just sworn in 7 different languages.
No, I'm just kidding. The truth is, the title of this speech came about 10 years ago when I told my family and friends that I was going to go on a 12-month adventure over to South America. But their response was one of fear and trepidation. They said, "Tom, be careful over there. It's dangerous. They might try and steal your kidney and sell it on the black market." Now, I knew that this sounded ridiculous, So I got a tattoo that says, Este riñón ya fue robado, which is Spanish for this kidney has already been stolen. A few months later, I found myself in a city on the coast of Colombia. As soon as I arrived, I was told two things. The first was to never go down to the beach when it's dark, because it's dangerous and tourists often get mugged. The second was that the sunrise from the beach was unlike anything else that you'd ever seen before. Next morning, as I lay in bed, I had a decision to make. Do you stay where your family and friends would say it was safe, or do you take a chance? I decided to make my way down to the beach. I'd been there no longer than about 2 minutes before a local man approached me. Hola, gringo, ¿qué pasa? I froze, put my hands in my pockets to hide the fact that I had a camera. But before I knew it, he was all up in my personal space with his hands around my waist. Quiero un poco, un poco, un poco. Now I knew un poco meant a little. So I tried to play it cool and said, sí, un poco. See, I was so worried about what he was doing with his hands around my pockets that I missed what was actually going on, as he leant in and gave me a big, wet, sloppy right on my lips. I pushed him off. And then we both stood there looking at each other confused. But I realized it wasn't his fault. You see, he'd been asking for a little kiss. And my response was, yeah, a little. A few months later, I found myself lost in the middle of nowhere in Peru. All of a sudden, a local man approached me. Hola, gringo, ¿qué pasa? Uh-oh, I had been here before. Turns out he wasn't trying to kiss me. Instead, he grabbed my bag with my passport and my cash, and he started to walk off. I was convinced he was going to rob me, but then he turned. He carried my bag all the way back to my hostel. And it was here that we met up with a friend of mine who spoke Spanish and translated all of the conversations that we'd been trying to have. His name was Juan, and he invited both my friend and I to stay with his family that night. Once again, we had a decision to make. Do you stay where your family and friends would say it was safe? Or do you take a chance and place your trust in a man who you only just met? We decided to take the chance. And as soon as we arrived, we realized that this experience was going to be unlike anything else that we'd ever had before. You see, their toilet was just a hole in the ground. Their shower was 4 pieces of corrugated iron, no roof, and a bucket of cold water. But what's more is Juan shared this with 4 other families. You see, even though Juan looked like he could barely afford the clothes that were on his back, he still insisted on paying for my dinner that night. It was during this dinner that he said something to my friend that made me stop and reflect. He said, I wish Tomás could speak Spanish. He seems like a nice guy, and I'd like to get to know him. Wow. I realized just how rude I'd been. You see, I've been traveling through South America for 6 entire months. Yet I invested no effort into getting to know the people, their language, or their culture. So I asked Juan and his wife if I could stay with them for a month. And fortunately for me, they said yes. Because what I learned over the next 4 weeks far surpassed anything that I'd learned in the 6 months prior. You see, I learned what it takes to truly connect with others. And the last night that I was there, Juan said something to me that still runs through my mind today. He said, Tomás,
My friends, they say, watch out for that gringo. He'll take your children in the middle of the night.
It was at this point that I realized that Juan's family and friends were no different to my family and friends, in that they all feared for the safety of their loved ones. Yet Juan took a chance on me, and for that, I'll be forever grateful. You see, we became such good friends that when I returned 5 years later, I met their baby boy, who they named after me. Ladies and gentlemen, contest chair, this tattoo on my back might seem like a bit of a joke at first, but to me, it's anything but. You see, it's a reminder that we fear what we don't know. It doesn't matter where we're from, the color of our skin, or the religious beliefs that we hold. We all share this same fear. And this tattoo is a reminder that when we take a chance, when we place these fears aside and put our faith and trust in humanity, amazing things can happen and remarkable friendships can be made. Contest chair.
Thank you, Thomas. We'll have a minute's silence. Thank you, timer. Welcome, Annie Martin, our next speaker. Would you like to do the audio check?
Yeah, excuse me, yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you quite very well, sorry, and
Yes.
also see you very well, and you can see the timer in the top.
Yes, yes, I can, thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next contestant is Annie Martin with Speaking Up for Billy. With Speaking Up for Billy, please welcome Annie Martin.
As a schoolgirl, I was a typical goody two pigtails, always the first one to shoot up my hand in class until I got to grade 5 and I met my new teacher, Mrs. Horrocks. She was as horrible as that name sounded. Now, you have to picture a prune and put a rod up its backside. And then picture that same prune swaggering and swaying its way back into the school grounds after her liquid lunch at the local. Then we knew the classroom would be ruled with a ruler and a disgrace wall. My best friend, Debbie, she had to face her disgrace for a whole hour because she was whispering. Do you want to know why I had to face disgrace? Well, it was maths. I ventured up my hand. Yes, 3 goes into 21 7 times. Contest chair, you know that 3 goes into 21 7 times. You know I was right. But Mrs. Horrocks marched me right up to the disgrace wall to write down 100 times. I must not say goes into in a maths lesson. I must not say goes into in a maths lesson. I must not say. And I never once put up my hand again in school, not even when I was right. She had taken away that schoolgirl voice. I couldn't even speak up for Billy. Billy was new to our school from the Housing Trust estate. He had no uniform, he had no lunch, and he had no idea what was about to happen. Mrs. Horrocks sized up this tiny 10-year-old boy. She seized him by the ear. To the disgrace wall. 2 times 3, 2 times 4. You're a waste of my time. And then the sound of a trickle, and Billy had wet his pants. I was horrified. We were all terrified and mortified for Billy. But every one of our voices was frozen in fear. Not one of us could speak up for him. The years rolled on, and those pigtails changed to a perm. Well, it was the 1980s. But my friendship with Debbie did not change. So much so that I let her convince me to go along to our primary school reunion. And we walked in together, shoulder pad to shoulder pad. We were scanning the room. I wonder who we would see. I wonder if Billy would be there. And then we saw her, Mrs. Horrocks, age 105. The stick up her back had been replaced by a stick out the front. She was shrinking. She was still drinking. It's Annie and Debbie. Do you remember us? In Billy's class. Do you remember Billy? She just stared at me blankly and hobbled back to the bar. She didn't know who I was. She didn't know who Billy was. I had given away my voice to a prune at the bar who was soaking in brandy. And then Debbie cut in. Annie, you've still got your voice. I think everyone in this room heard your voice. But how can you use that voice to speak up? How can I use my voice to speak up? Well, I couldn't change what had happened, but maybe I could change what happened next. Do you know what I did the next week? I was signed up to become a teacher. And there in a university lecture hall, for the first time in 15 years, I spoke up. And in my first year out of teaching, I was given a class of boys from disadvantaged backgrounds. They had no uniforms. They had no lunch. And I had no time to waste because I knew they were hungry. So I practiced flexing that muscle of speaking up in staff meetings, lobbying the school to start a breakfast club. And it worked. And there every morning, as I watched them eat their wheat bix, in their eyes, I saw Billy. 25 years later, I became a school principal. Every day it was my job to speak up for my students. And in my school, there was no disgrace whether your times tables were wrong or whether your times tables were right. But you know the best part about being a school principal? I got to choose the teachers, and not one of them was a Mrs. Horrocks. Fellow speakers, have you ever had prunes in your past that have just silenced you? Think of that girl silenced by her times tables, but the time came for the tables to turn. There's always time for the tables to turn. You see, those prunes will shrivel and decay away, just as you flex that muscle to speak up for what is right and when you are right. You can't change what has happened, but you can change what happens next. And it begins with your voice. How can you use your voice to speak up? This one's for you, Billy. Contest chair.
Thank you, Annie. A minute's silence again. Thank you, Christina. Jody, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Thank you very much. I can see you and hear you well. Can you see the timer?
I can see the time. I don't see myself yet, but I guess I jump on the screen once I start in a moment.
You should be able to see yourself. Are you on speaker view?
Yes, I am on speaker view. So I can see the timer, just can't see myself on the screen. There we go. There I am.
Oh, sure.
That's good.
Right, you're ready. Our next contestant is Jody Dontje with the bigger. With the bigger, Jody Dontje.
There I am on the verge of bankruptcy. All my efforts, all my energy, all my wealth, and I could lose it all in a heartbeat. My window of hope becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. My hands are sweaty. I can taste the tension in the air. And time slows down. This is the most stressful game of Monopoly I've ever played. Contest chair, friends. Picture this. I was sitting at the table with my grandmother, who I hadn't seen since before lockdown. Dice in hand, we're playing our favorite game. My heart was racing. With one quick I could land on Gran's property, which was covered in little green houses that had been tormenting me. Gran's greedy eyes are looking at the board, counting the number of spaces I needed. My whole life, she's always known exactly what streets to get. And again, I was going to lose. The tension was high, my ego was higher, and the game was on. I shook the dice. Said the dice. Oh no, I said. Oh, you lucky girl, said Gran. 5 + 4 = 9. I didn't land on Gran's property. I landed on the free parking jackpot. Woo-hoo! I jumped up and did a happy dance. Ha! In your face, Gran. Loser, loser. I must admit, I'm not always the most humble when playing. Okay, I'm scary. Why? Well, because I love to win. And if I don't win, well, let's just say it's not pretty. I counted my riches. I told you it's not pretty. And then it was Gran's turn. Crack! Pain spread across Gran's face. Panic spread across my heart. Her finger was bent at an angle. Oma, are you okay? Yes, sweetheart. It's my arthritis. I just need a few minutes. You know what? She seemed fine. And she was. She'll use her other hand to play. The game was back on because I was going to win. My turn. I shook the dice. Shh, shh, shh. The tension rose. And then, ouch! Pain spread across Gran's face again. And this time she grabbed her legs. Oma, are you okay? Yes, sweetheart. These cramps happen. I just need a few minutes. Suddenly, a song on the radio blasted out. Play the bigger game. Have you ever had a song play exactly when you needed it? It was like those lyrics hit me here. I looked at the board that I'd been so obsessed over. I looked at Gran's riddled face. Shame washed over me. All I could think to do was rush to the bathroom and sob. I've been so caught up in winning our game that I'd missed the bigger game. Gran's getting old. I don't know how many games nights are left to share. Play the bigger game, Jody, I said to myself in the mirror. And that's when I saw it. The bigger game is not about winning. It's about living. This time with my Gran, it's a moment I'll treasure forever. And that's when I really saw it. I've been treating my whole life like a game of Monopoly, so focused on how much others had that I'd missed who is playing the game of life with me. I thought about all the times that I chose deadlines over dinners with friends, schedules over spontaneous adventures, getting ahead instead of getting in touch. And do you know what I realized? I've been prioritizing the small games because they're so enticing. I can get money, I can gain a title, I can gather success. But what if I look up from that game and the people I had been playing with are not there anymore? When I got back to that table, my heart was racing, but not to win, racing to live, racing to play the bigger game. And do you know what happened? I had fun playing. I even let Gran win. Despite her pain, Gran got up. She did a happy dance. And I joined her in that dance. Life is full of uncertainties and stress. Deadlines, schedules, money, acclaim, success to be chased. Every moment can feel like a ch. Will we win or lose? But that games night with Gran taught me that's the small game. So I've decided to say yes to dinners with friends. Yes to spontaneous adventures. I just got back from Bali last month. And yes to getting in touch instead of just getting ahead. And believe it or not, our window of time with our loved ones gets smaller and smaller and smaller every day. The bigger game is about enjoying time with our loved ones that are here now and doing happy dances with them whenever we can. Imagine if we put all our energy and our effort into that game. Want to play? Contest chair.
Thank you, Jody. Another minute silence. Thank you, timer. And here's our next contestant, Hamza. Let's do an audio and visual check.
Hi, can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yes, can see you and hear you very well. And can you see the timer over there in the left-hand corner? Hamza, you can see the timer? Very good. All right, we're ready to go. Our next contestant is Hamza Habib with Are You Smiling? Are you smiling? Hamza Habib.
My father was a serious man. Throughout my childhood, I never saw him smile at me, and I never heard him laugh. And in my little Hamza brain, I thought he was incapable of it. But one day, Dad's friends came home. And something that never happened. Contest chair, Toastmasters. As I was playing in the bedroom with my action figures and brothers, gotcha penguin, we heard this strange sound of a man laughing. And we didn't know who it was. I turned to my brother and said, "Is that the Joker?" And as we swung our way down the hall and peeked into the living room, we found Dad laughing and joking with his friends. So different from the man we were used to seeing. So different from what we thought of. I was delighted that he was able to smile and laugh like that, straight from the heart. It felt wonderful. But I was also distraught by the thought that he didn't smile for me, that he denied me that. And in my little head, the conversation became, if you don't smile for me, I'm not going to smile for you. And I stopped smiling. I let go of this face of the smiling boy that I was and put on this mask, void of smiles. I didn't smile at school. I didn't smile through college. I didn't smile at work. And I looked around on the streets, in the metro, in the lift. Stoic faces, stern faces, serious faces. Faces I had become all too comfortable with. But over all these years, people have told me to smile more. None more so than over here at Toastmasters, where the constant feedback is, Hamza, good speech, just a little more smiling. Or, Hamza, you don't have to be so serious all the time, man. Or, Hamza, this was a humorous speech contest. You can smile sometimes. But the worst was when I met this girl I love. And she said, Hamza, can I tell you something? I love you, but you don't have to be so serious all the time. Maybe smile a little sometimes. For me. I love this girl. I was the most happiest I've been in my life with her. But I wasn't smiling. And that's when it hit me that I had worn this mask for so long that I'd forgotten how to smile. So, in the supportive and positive learning environment that Toastmasters provides, I tried to smile. But let me tell you, smiling isn't as easy as it sounds. I tried practicing in front of the mirror. Going, all right, here goes. 3, 2, 1, smile. Nah, didn't work, no. So I started forcibly smiling at people. I told myself, Hamza, you've shaken hands with this person, now smile. Hamza, you've met this person, now smile. And I could feel my cheek muscles resisting. Like they weren't used to being commanded that way. It was like I was trying to drive with the handbrakes on. But as time went on, it became an awkward type of smile. Bit broken, bit crooked, eventually turning into much more natural one. And one day I realized I wasn't wearing the mask anymore. I could smile. I cannot smile for that little boy that I was. But I can smile for others now. Ladies and gentlemen, have you held back your smile, thinking it's too precious to give away? Maybe you've put on a mask like I did and become all too familiar with it. So let this speech be a reminder for you to reflect on where is it that you can smile but aren't smiling now. Contest chair.
Thank you, Hamza. We'll have another minute's silence. Thank you, timer. Our next contestant is Shian. Are you there, Shian?
Yes, I am.
Excellent, thank you. I can hear you very well and I can see you. Can you see the timer?
Yes, I can.
Excellent, then we are ready. Our next contestant is Shian Lee with Eggplant is No Laughing Matter. With Eggplant is No Laughing Matter, please welcome Shian Lee.
Hey, you! Hey, you! I was walking down the street when I heard this coming from the opposite side of the road. Go back to where you came from. An angry-looking stranger is now rushing across the street coming towards me. Suddenly, he stopped, just an arm's length away from me, pointed his finger in my face, and in his fury, lashed out at me again. Go back to where you came from. Immediately after, he turned and left. I was left standing in the middle of the road, looking at the back of what now appears to be an ordinary man going about his ordinary business. I was dumbstruck, embarrassed, alone, abused by a stranger on the street, in a place I have now come to call home. Unexpected, it sure was. Anthony Bourdain, the famous chef, no stranger to the unexpected, once said, "Food is everything we are. It's an extension of nationalist feeling, ethnic feeling, your personal history, your province, your region, your tribe, your grandma. It's inseparable from those from the get-go." Well, if he's right, then what the hell did the guy who rushed at me have for lunch? What does he have to eat to direct such anger at me? A complete stranger. According to some experts, there are 3 types of food that can do this. Number 1, tomatoes. Number 2, eggplants. Number 3, greasy food. Greasy food, of course, eating too much can cause nausea, bloating, stomach pain. But eggplant, who would have known? Order eggplant parmesan at Jamie Oliver's restaurant. And just as you are finishing this golden brown eggplant deliciousness, a rush of uncontrollable anger sweeps over you. You run amok and abuse all the customer. And next day, the newspaper headline screams, "Eggplant rage, Jamie Oliver remorseful. Shut down 22 Italian restaurant, vows never to serve eggplant again." It's not very plausible. But imagine if you're a prominent black football player and bananas were thrown at you on the field, and there are people making monkey noises at the same time. Or more shockingly, a 13-year-old calls you an ape, which is exactly what happened to Sydney Swan football player Adam Goodes. How can someone who gives so much to the game he loves and become so despised by some of his fans? I don't think we can blame the eggplant for this, no matter how multicultural they may make us feel. No, racism and xenophobia needs to be called out for exactly what they produce: abuse. When an Australian Prime Minister shares on Twitter his favorite meal of Sri Lankan curry on Twitter, food becomes the gentle face of multiculturalism. But how bitter is that taste of food when seen through by the eyes of the Sri Lankan family seeking to stay in Australia, with ever increasing layers of difficulty placed upon them by the same government enjoying their national food on social media? We appropriate someone else's cuisine in the name of multiculturalism, and we create rafts of difficulty placed upon them. And yet, we don't recognize the disconnect. What is this about? Tomatoes, eggplants, and greasy food. They may not be the direct cause of hatred and anger, but food can be weaponized. It can be used in propaganda. It can reveal hypocrisy, it can harm, and it can also heal. Our grandma, as Anthony Bourdain reminds us, knew that. We are what we eat, they would say. Perhaps our Prime Minister could be our new grandma. He could use food as a peaceful method to resolve conflicts among squabbling premiers and chief ministers. He could invite everyone to a Sunday sit-down lunch of Chinese yum cha, over which they can agree on some of the things they've always disagreed about. Why yum cha? I can hear you saying. Because who gets angry when eating delicious prawn dumpling and golden egg tart? And if food is truly everything that we are, and it reflects our society, which, regardless of that angry guy shouting abuse at me on the street, is actively multicultural. Perhaps it's time for us to think about eating our way to helping each other and overcoming challenges together. Eggplant may well have some of the answers we so desperately need to minimize discrimination. Who would have known? Thank you, Contest Chair.
Thank you, Shian. Another minute's silence. Thank you, timer. Philippa, are you there?
Philippa is not here. I have asked her to return to the main room. She is now.
Oh, thank goodness. Philippa, could you say something? Graham, I thought you said Philippa is here.
She is here. I'm asking her to start her video.
Aha, I do see you now, Philippa. Excellent. All right, I'll get you to say something and let me know, please, if you can see the timer.
I can see the timer.
Excellent. I can see you clearly and I can hear you clearly as well. Thank you, Philippa. Philippa Jordan-Hill is our next contestant with Brave is What You're Doing. With Brave is What You're Doing, Philippa Jordan-Hill.
Scared has been how I've been feeling, but brave is what I've been doing. You see, the last 5 years, I've been feeling this way. 5 years ago, I flew over to New Zealand for a weekend with my family. It was my mother's 70th birthday, and it was a surprise party. I was her surprise. It was so exciting. All my family were there, except for my husband, Mark, and my children, 4 of them who were back on our farm in Victoria. As the party was beginning, I was so excited and I turned my phone off. I decided the world can go by without me for 2 hours, surely. Nothing bad can happen. And if it did, what could I do about it? Just as the party was ending 2 hours later, my uncle came to me with his phone and he said that my son, Jack, who was 19 at the time, was on the line. Jack had been trying to call me for 2 hours. I took the call and Jack asked me to go to a quiet room and sit down. So I found a quiet room to the side of the auditorium and sat. And he said to me, "Mum, something really bad has happened. The police are here." The next few words that came from Jack's mouth changed my life forever. With his voice beginning to tremble, he said, "Mum, there's no easy way to say this, but Dad has passed away." My heart stopped. The blood went icy cold as it fell down to my feet. My legs began to shake and I stumbled forward out of that chair, thrusting the phone away from my ear as if it had bitten me, while my body tried to remember how to breathe. All of a sudden, the once quiet room was filled with the sounds of screaming. This wasn't any ordinary screaming. This was ear-piercing. This was blood curdling. This was heart-wrenching. They went on, and it dawned on me that these screams were coming from the primal part of my soul. My husband, dead. My screams brought people running, and they came and they found me still standing there, my arm outstretched, the phone still in my hand. My son, Jack, bearing witness to the most intense anguish a son could hear his mother go through. It was the worst day of my life, and his. Scared is how I was feeling, but brave is what I was doing when I boarded the plane and I flew back to Australia to be with my children and to prepare my husband's funeral. It turned out that he had been involved in a complex ocean kayaking accident in which he ultimately drowned. He was 46. I was 45. Life is not meant to be like that. Scared is how I was feeling, but brave is what I was doing when I fell into a deep, dark hole 4 months later, as the adrenaline and the shock began to wear off, and the utter exhaustion and the reality of grief started to overwhelm me. It was all I could do to drag myself from my bedroom out into my lounge, collapse on the couch in the empty and quiet room, and listen to the only sound, which was the clock on the wall as it went tick, tock, tick, tock. And I said to myself, Philippa, all you have to do today is breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Tick, tock. In, out. But then I began to realize that I had 4 reasons to live. My children, Jack, Nick, Kane, and Tilly. They had just lost a father. They didn't deserve to lose a mother, physically nor emotionally. So I began to claw and crawl and fight my way back into life. A life that I no longer recognized, in a world that I no longer understood. But I did this by doing 4 things. I decided I needed to find joy again. I decided to find pleasure in my life again. I decided to find purpose for my life again. And I decided to find perspective about life again. We've all faced loss. I'm not the only one. The loss of a grandparent, a parent, a child, a sibling. And loss comes in many forms: a relationship, a dream, a marriage, a job, and even our health. Yes, life can be scary, but we are brave because we are doing it. You and I, we are doing it. Even when it comes down to just a breath by breath. Scared might be how you're feeling, but brave is what you're doing. Thank you, Madam Contest Chair.
Thank you, Philippa. We'll have a minute's silence. Thank you, timer. The minute is over. Let's see if River is here.
Present.
Excellent. Thank you, River. You're coming through loud and clear, and I can see you clearly as well. Can you see the timer?
Yes.
All right, we shall start. Our next contestant is River Hill with My Friend Joe. With My Friend Joe, River Hill.
Bang! A rocket exploded. I dive for cover in the heat of the desert sun, heart pounding, trying not to get killed. Fellow Toastmasters and Joes I haven't yet met. I was a combat soldier in the Iraq War, and I could feel the seeds of hatred forming for those trying to kill me and anyone who looked like them. When I returned to Australia, that hatred followed me. Standing in my apartment, I see this Middle Eastern man peeking over my fence. I say, who the hell is that? I found out Joe was the building handyman. Joe was a Middle Eastern man. He looked like a hobo. His pants had holes in them, or at least 3 sizes too big. His shoes and shirts were torn. Do you ever look at someone and think, who the hell is that? For me, that was Joe. In my ignorance, I thought he looked like those who tried to kill me in Iraq, and I hated them. A week later, I see Joe peeking over my fence again. He says, hey, River, do you need a hand? I reluctantly said okay. While talking, my experience in the Iraq War came up. I braced myself, ready to cop another earful about an illegal war. I should never have been there. True, but after what I experienced in the war, this rejection by society felt like a knife in the gut. Instead, Joe looked at me and said, I'm sorry you had to experience that, my friend. I too know the pain and loss of war. Joe's family had migrated to Australia during the turmoil of the Lebanese Civil War. We sat in that moment, not needing to discuss the details, just sitting in the understanding of each other's journey. For the first time since coming home from Iraq 10 years earlier, someone had seen past my facade and understood me, and not any person. A man whose image I'd come to hate, but exactly the type of person who knew what it felt like to have hidden wounds. I fought back tears of shame as I realized a man I thought I hated not only understood me, but accepted me. In that moment, my hatred transformed into understanding. Over the following year, our friendship blossomed as Joe would often appear, peeking over my fence. One day while chatting, Joe said, my friend, come for a trip to Lebanon. I was shocked. I said, Lebanon? Why? Joe said, River, you are my friend. I want you to meet my family. or pay for your trip. I was incredibly touched by the offer and remember thinking, how is Joe, who wears the same torn clothes every day, going to pay? A week later, the lift in our building broke down. One of the more abrasive tenants complained, why doesn't Joe get this damn lift fixed? I said, speak to the agent. He said, Joe owns the place. I said, huh? You mean our hobo Joe? Yes, he blasted at me. My wife is the agent. Joe owns this tower and 5 other towers. Hold on. I paused. Who the hell is Joe? If this was true, I should have taken that trip to Lebanon. It turns out it was true. I wondered why Joe hadn't told me, but I understood when he said, River, when I dress like this, people treat me differently. I want friends who can see what's in here. Joe valued our friendship because despite being from different cultures, races, and generations, I had seen past his facade and understood him, just as he had once seen past mine and understood me. My friend Joe, peeking over my fence, helped me transform my hatred for my perceived enemy into love for a friend. Can you be a friend like Joe? If not, don't be like I was, carrying that poison inside of me. You might think you don't have poison inside, but even tiny judgments of others ripple out, causing destructive divisions in our communities. You have the power to create communities of understanding, acceptance, and peace. Open your hearts and embrace those different to yourselves. Each of you has a role. Ask yourself, do you look at someone and think, who the hell is that? Do you treat them differently because of the way they look or where they are from? Who is the Joe in your life? Contest chair.
Thank you very much, River. Thank you, timer. Janine, are you there?
I am here. Can you see me?
I can certainly see you and hear you very clearly. Can you see the timer?
I can see the timer.
Excellent.
I can't see myself though. Oh, there we go. Okay, now I'm happy.
Excellent. All right, we're ready to go. Our next contestant is Janine Wan with Break the Bias. With Break the Bias, Janine Wan.
Picture this. It's 1988 and I'm driving down to the Mornington Peninsula with my boyfriend Simon in his green Toyota. The sun is shining I'm with a wonderful man and I'm feeling on top of the world. Instead of going to the beach though, we're going to Simon's Nana's house for afternoon tea. I'm meeting her for the first time and she has lots of questions. It's all going well until, how old are you? I'm 22. Your people don't look your age. My people. I come crashing down to earth as I realize that I will never be one of us to her, but always one of them. That hurts a lot. I'm still married to Simon and we visited Nana for birthdays and Christmas for many years, but she and I were never close. I was always a bit foreign to her. I came to realize though that her biases didn't just apply to me. She strongly disapproved of Simon buying that green Toyota, a Japanese car. Oh, Simon, I wish you'd get a Holden. Contest chair. Think about the people who apply stereotypes to you or your people. How does that make you feel? Now think about this. We all hold unconscious biases which we apply to other people. This year, the theme for International Women's Day was Break the Bias. Today, I'm going to share with you a simple idea on something we can all do to minimize the bias we apply to others, and not just the gender bias, but any bias applied in a process of selection. In 2017, the Diversity Council of Australia produced a report titled Cracking the Glass Cultural Ceiling. For this report, they surveyed culturally diverse women, and they found that only 1 in 8 of those women strongly agreed they had the same opportunities as others of similar ability and experience. Only 1 in 8. This report went on to recommend that organisations should educate about effective, bias-free decision-making and actions to minimise bias. So what can we do to minimise the bias we apply to others? Well, my idea for you is that we can all use a rubric. I hear you. What's a rubric? A rubric is a scoring guide, and it has 3 essential components. It has criteria, rating scales, and indicators. This is not a rubric. This is a rubric. This Toastmasters speech contest ballot is a rubric. It has criteria, it has rating scales, and it has indicators, detailed descriptions of what judges are looking for. Toastmasters require its judges to use this rubric to ensure that contestants are rated on the set criteria and as objectively as possible. Like Toastmaster judges, we can use a rubric in our selection decisions. To make your own rubric, follow these steps. Suppose you're selecting candidates for a retail position. Start by defining your criteria. In this example, I've decided to look for education and retail experience. Then add your rating scales. To keep it simple here, I've decided to assign 1 or 2 points for each criterion. And then lastly, add your indicators, the specifics of what you're looking for. Here I've decided to allocate 1 point for a candidate with less than 1 year's experience and 2 points for a candidate with more than 1 year's experience. Using this rubric ensures the candidates are assessed objectively and without bias being applied to them. Contest chair. We all have people in our lives who apply bias towards us, whether it's a nana or a narrow-minded manager. Equally, we all hold unconscious bias that we apply to others. Today, I want you to remember this simple idea to minimize the bias you apply to others and to help you make objective decisions. Use rubrics to break the bias. Contest chair.
Thank you, Janine. Now the Zoom master is going to be sending the judges, counters and timers off to a breakout room, and once that is complete, we can then interview the contestants.
Okay, all the judges and all the right people have gone off to the judging room.
Excellent. Thank you so much for doing that, Graham. Everybody take yourselves off mute and give a round of applause to all of those wonderful 8 contestants. I think you'll agree with me that we heard just outstanding speeches today with a range of topics, one of which seemed to be common amongst a few people, and that was surrounding discrimination. I'm going to present the certificate of participation and interview the contestant in order of how they spoke. So our first contestant today was Thomas Moore. Thomas, let's see you here as well.
Can you see me now?
No, maybe Graham, you could spotlight Thomas as well.
Hola.
Certainly, just a minute.
Hello. Now, I do have to say, Thomas, that was really mean to give me a speech title that said Este, riñón, faway, robado. I'm good at it now.
Yeah. I did throw you under the bus, Judy. I'm sorry.
That is all right. I certainly forgive you. Wow, what a trip you had to Peru and South America and a lot of other countries, and a lesson that you learnt. Now, I do have some questions.
Yep.
Here's your certificate of participation. Congratulations. I think this is not the first time you've been up here as a finalist at District for the International.
Oh, no, this is actually.
This is
yeah, yep, it is.
It's quite an experience, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a nerve-wracking one, but I've loved it.
Yeah. Tell me, what level of the contest do you think you learnt the most from? So you've come right through from club all the way through to district?
Actually, club, because I would have come third at the club level this year, but someone I think someone went over time, and I wouldn't have made it through, and I wasn't proud of the speech that I had, and I thought that I would never have thought that I'd be here. So yeah, I'm very grateful to have had that opportunity and to grow on.
Fantastic. Oh, sorry, I should have asked you too as well, which division, which area and which club you're representing?
Yeah, so start with club, Frankston Toastmasters. Area is B2, I think. I can't remember. and then Bass Division. So, yeah.
Excellent. So all of the people who are online here who are from Bass Division will have been cheering you on today. So tell me, what has been your preparation for this contest?
this speech started out 2 years ago. I got through to the division with it 2 years ago, and I went over time by about 8 seconds, and I was absolutely gutted. So I've made the deal to myself that I won't ever do it at the same level. So if I've done it at that level before, I won't do it again. And I had to just give it a go at this level. So I'd actually got up to this level with another speech, but this is what I love. It's the story that I hold so dearly to me. So.
Thank you. Now tell me, why do you think you went overtime? Do you ad lib, or did you deliver it slower than previously? Or?
Yeah, I was really worried about stuffing up the words and saying the wrong thing or something along those lines. So I did slow it down a little bit. And I changed it up as well between this time and 2 years ago too. So it's quite a different speech now, but just removed some of the words.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I don't think you went overtime. I didn't time you, of course, but I think everybody looked pretty good. So let's hope that is actually the case. Which is your favourite contest?
The international. It's the one that makes me the most nervous, but it's, when you hear some of the speeches that we've heard today, all the speeches that we've heard today, I just find myself going, wow, it's just incredible to hear some of the experiences that people have had and what they've learned from it. And then, if they're happy to share those with other people so that we can all learn from it too. It's so inspirational. So thank you to all the other contestants for doing that. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much, Thomas. We'll leave it there, and everybody will applaud Thomas for your presentation. Thank you. Our next contestant was Annie Martin.
Hi, Judy.
Hello, Annie. Now, I know where you're from, but tell everybody your division, area and club.
Yes, indeed. I'm representing Wandin in Area 35 from the Rangers division.
That's right. Thank you, Annie. Wow, what a speech today about Billy. My goodness, there was such emotion in that speech. I can tell you, I felt really angry about Mrs. Horrocks. Yeah, as you no doubt felt the same way. Tell me, which level of the contest did you learn the most from?
Oh, that's a really good question. This year, probably division, but I think every year it's different. It depends what's happening. But yeah, I think division was really tough competition, and yeah, so I learned a lot from that. Yeah, well, probably actually the answer should be today because the standard just keeps going up and up. So yeah.
What kind of things did you learn
from division, or what do you learn? I guess every time you compete, you learn how to compete under pressure of a 7-minute window, and just like everything in Toastmasters, the more often that you get up there and do it, gradually the easier that becomes. It's that sort of pressure house of a 7 minutes of your life, which all other contestants understand at any level.
Yeah. Thank you. And here's your certificate of participation, Annie Martin. You will receive a hard copy later on. What's been your preparation for this contest?
Yeah, quite a lot. I put a lot into it. It meant a lot to me, this speech, and it still does. It will. I had a long conversation with the pseudonym Debbie, who is my friend. That was immensely helpful. I spoke to my sister, who remembers Mrs. Horrocks very well. That was very helpful. And I tell you what, the other bit of preparation was going to Bunnings and trying to find a ruler that I could break on screen. And I'm an expert if anyone needs that proper. So I've spent a bit of time in Bunnings in the last week, and a few practice rulers that have snapped.
Well, that's a lot of preparation, definitely. Yeah. Because it does come down to that in the end, isn't it? It's all the little things that you want to go right in your speech on the day. Yeah, I mean,
and the truth, and I really wanted to break the ruler because, the story is exactly that on his hands over his timetables, she broke the ruler. And it was that, and then he wet his pants. So it was that image. It was the ruler and the wetting the pants that was I wanted to convey. in the way that I recall that as a 10-year-old.
Yeah. Well, I hope you didn't go down to Bunnings and wet your pants.
No, I didn't.
That's good. And what is your favorite? What is your favorite contest?
Probably humorous, because I think it's humorous. Yeah. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Yeah.
Good. I think at one time you were a bit afraid of humorous speech contests.
I was. I used to think that I could never do it, but I think it's my favourite now. Yeah.
Oh, very good. All right. Congratulations on your presentation today, Annie Martin.
Thank you.
All right. Our third speaker, Jody. Dontje. Where's Jody? Hello there. Wow, what a speech. I was caught up in that speech. Man, I thought you were going to be bankrupt, and it turned out just to be Monopoly. Here you are. Here's your certificate.
Thank you. I did end up being bankrupt, but in Monopoly, yes.
I do have to tell you, there is another game of Monopoly that you can play with cards called Monopoly Deal, and you can go bankrupt in that too. But it's a lot of fun, but it's a lot quicker.
So I can lose quicker. That's always good.
Dear. That was a great speech. Thank you. And I'm going to ask you as well which division, area and club you are representing today.
Yes, so area I need to think about, but my club is Flinders Lane. I think the area is 14. Please, everyone, if I got that wrong, please let me know. And it's the inner city division.
Oh, excellent. I'm sure they'll all be pleased with what you've presented today. Now, what level of the International Speech Contest did you learn the most from?
So there's two levels that I think are quite imbalanced. It's probably area, because I changed my speech from club to area. It was a big growth experience in between that time, getting feedback from different people and realizing the speech I originally had was just not what I would want to have going forward. So it was really good to go through that growth experience. The other level that was amazing was division, and it's more the last 3 years I've had an incredible speaker that I've been versing, and I really wasn't sure if I could beat him in division because he's so talented and really good. And I think the growth I've had to go through in order to then be at district now is just something I'm so grateful for, and I've put in a lot of effort around it. I'm grateful for all my different supporters. So it's been a beautiful experience. I've grown so much as a person throughout this.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, it certainly is a huge effort in taking your speech to another level, and usually there's a lot of people there helping you, as you've had done. That's great. What has been your preparation for this contest?
Preparation, so many things. There's the mindful side of it, which I really wanted to make sure I was connected to my heart space. This speech is around my grandma, and in a way represents also in life when we choose ego over connection and love, or when we choose to be oblivious to the fact that our loved ones are not always going to be here and that we should appreciate them. And so definitely this has been a very emotional journey for me to really appreciate my grandparents more, who are getting much older, and appreciate the people in my life and being way more grateful. So on a mindset level, this has been a beautiful journey of preparing myself, doing mindful meditations and gratitude. On a practical sense, it's been ensuring that my speech is very tight, making sure there's nothing that is not relevant that's in it, or making sure that it's really on point, that the story and storytelling is really connected. And then on a level of making sure, obviously, for today it would flowed, make sure that my body language, my presence, and all of that was as much as I could bring into today. So lots of layers of preparation.
Lovely. Thank you, Jody. It is so true. It's not just practicing the speech and the skills, it's also getting yourself into the right headspace as well. Great. And what is your favorite contest?
Oh, I love so many of them. I love impromptu. So table topics is one of the faves that really, I always stretch myself in that, because you don't know what the speech is going to be about, right? So that's really a great stretch, and I love being stretched. Evaluations, I love listening to other speakers and actually being able to give feedback and see how much they appreciate that too, which is always a beautiful experience of giving back. And now I think after being international to the district, which is, a first for me to get to the district level, I think international has been the best in terms of my real deep down growth and my heart space kind of expansion. The international has been a wonderful opportunity, and I'm grateful for all the speeches today. Oh my gosh, I was crying in so many of them, and just like I'm so honored to be here on the same stage as so many of these wonderful speakers. So yeah, it's definitely been a wonderful experience, this level.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Jody. I really appreciate what you did.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Judy.
Good. And our fourth speaker was Hamza Habib.
Hi.
Hello, Hamza. Where's the smile?
It's there. It's there.
It is a beautiful smile. You really have a lovely, dazzling smile.
Thank you.
And we're going to have the participation certificate show up in a moment, perhaps. No, well, I'll just ask you. Oh, here we are. Here it is. Hamza Habib, congratulations. Being in the international speech final at district. That is wonderful. Would you share with everybody, please, which division, area and club you were in?
So I'm a member of Carlton Toastmasters Club. It's M22 area, and the division would be Metro.
Excellent. Carlton, well, that's a club with quite a history. Carlton Toastmasters, they were Club of the Year one year.
Right.
Yeah. Which level of the international contest did you learn the most from?
I would say club.
Yep.
Club level is where I had to really narrow the speech down a lot, and I think I didn't even place the first time I gave this speech at the club level, and that was like 3 years ago or something.
Yep.
Yeah. So it was a lot of learning, a lot of editing, a lot of mentorship that brought a lot of good in the speech.
Yes, I think that's the case. You can't just take that one speech and just do it the same the next time. It always seems to be an area of growth from club to area. And what's your preparation been for this contest today?
Just getting in the right mindset, I think, is a big one, because it's quite a personal story, and it's very concise. So I don't have that much room to elaborate or anything, and I wanted to keep it that way. Mm-hmm. So just making sure that I had the energy levels up and ran with it.
Yeah. Well, the energy levels certainly did come through.
Right.
They do say that it takes about 21 days to break a habit. So do you think that was how long it took you to learn to smile?
No, it took long. It took a lot longer than that. Yeah.
There you go. Oh, well, you certainly have the hang of it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is your favourite contest to compete in?
International, by far international. It brings out the best in all the public speaking skills that a person needs, I think. And today's contest was no different. Mm-hmm. Everyone was spectacular. Just watching everyone's speeches blew me.
They were. Do you compete in the other contests?
I did compete in all of the contests, but I think I came to area in some of them, but didn't progress further. But international is somewhere I kept on placing.
Yeah. Well, you've done exceedingly well. Congratulations, Hamza.
Thank you so much.
Now, our fifth speaker was Shian Lee. Hello, there you are. Hello, Shian. My goodness, I had no idea where that speech was going with the title of Eggplant is no laughing matter. Wow, that was amazing. And here is your certificate of participation. Congratulations, Shian.
Thank you.
And would you share with everyone, please, your division, your area and your club?
Division is Southern Division. Area, I think it's 42. My club is Toorak.
Oh, Toorak Toastmasters. Beautiful. That's a long-standing club. A lot of history there as well. Could you share with everyone which level of the international speech contest did you learn the most from?
I would always say club level, because I get a lot of feedback from my fellow Toastmasters, which is really helpful, because as you said previously, you just don't do one speech. You kind of, you do one and you try to find different ways of improving it to become a competition speech. So I find club level is really useful for me in terms of getting feedback, support, and yeah, so I want to thank my fellow Toastmasters in Turek.
Oh, that's lovely. Tell me also, where on earth did you find out that tomatoes and eggplant and greasy foods are not the way to go?
Jody, where do you find things these days? Online, Google.
I would never have thought to even Google something like that. What foods make you angry? Maybe I might Google what foods make you happy.
Exactly.
Chocolate would be the answer there. Now tell me, what's your preparation been for this contest?
It's I think the last 2 days for me, it's about trying not to repeat mistakes, trying to pace myself in the speech, trying to give more variety in terms of how I deliver the speech, and trying to focus more on the storytelling side rather than techniques and all that sort of stuff. Try not to worry about whether I'm coming under time or over time and that kind of stuff.
You don't worry about going over time?
Well, I do, but my point is it's not the main focus because I've done the different levels of competition. So I know where my pace is. So it's not about focusing about that, more trying to tell that story, more on the storytelling level, more connecting online with audiences.
Very good. And what is your favorite contest?
I would say humorous, because I think it's really difficult for me to write humorous speech or to come up with ideas to write something that has humorous element in it. And I also like to watch evaluation. I think evaluations, there's so many good people evaluating out there, and it's amazing. Yeah, they're all terrific contests, that's for sure. Did we have your certificate of participation show on the screen yet? I think we did.
Oh, I've got a short memory. Sorry about that. Everyone, thank you very much, Shian Lee, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Our next contestant was Philippa Jordan-Hill. Philippa.
Hello, Judy. How are you?
Yeah, well, thank you. Here's your certificate of participation. Congratulations on your speech.
Thank you so much.
That was an amazing speech, and your bravery was certainly on show there today. I had to get a tissue and wipe my eyes, I can tell you. Man, I don't know how you kept it together. It's incredible, beautiful. Would you like to share with us your division, area and club?
Yes, I'm from Geelong Toastmasters Club. We used to be called the City of Greater Geelong, but we've recently changed the name to Geelong, which is in District 73 and Area 31, I believe.
Excellent. And sorry, which division is that in?
Division 73, is that? Oh, that's district. What division? Christina?
Oh, Northern, I think. That Northern?
Might be Northern. Or Daryl? Daryl might know.
Yeah, Northern. Okay, let's go.
There we go, Northern. This is my first year doing this, so please forgive me for not knowing.
No, that's all right. I should know that Geelong is over in Northern Division.
Okay.
So you'll have a lot of people cheering you on today, coming from Geelong Toastmasters Club. Again, another club with a lot of history. Yeah. So which level of the International Speech Contest did you learn the most from?
Well, I did this speech almost as my icebreaker when I joined Toastmasters in COVID 2020. And I used this one and it got such a reaction because I just spoke from my heart. But then clearly I couldn't go straight to international. I had to go into different competitions to get and do all my levels. So I needed the experience. My very first competition was in humorous and I got completely eliminated because I went over time by 15 seconds. So I learned a lot from that, learned how to make my time smaller so I can put some more pauses in.
Wow, that's quite amazing that you're in the International Speech District Final after such a short time in Toastmasters. It really is an incredible feat, and there would be a lot of people very jealous about that, I can tell you.
Thank you. Your theme of riding the wave, it feels like I just hopped on the wave and I'm just riding the wave and I don't know where it's going to dump me off, but it's such a pleasure to be here and a privilege.
That's great. I don't think you'll get dumped off. I think you'll ride the wave to shore and to safety. So what has been your preparation for this contest?
Well, interestingly, I had COVID last week, so I've only been out of isolation for a couple of days. Had this happened last week, I wouldn't have had a voice. I've been quite sick and have been a mucus machine for the last couple of days. My biggest fear today was that I would start coughing and not be able to stop. But here we are. I got through, and I just had to protect my voice was the main thing. So I rehearsed it just, and then got a lapel mic and mic'd up for today.
Fantastic. I'm so glad that it was last week and not this week. I wouldn't have been able to pick it from your voice that you had anything wrong with it.
Oh, thank you.
And what is your favourite contest?
I would have to say international was my favourite. You know, that was a raw story that I told, and it's my pleasure and privilege to tell that story and to honour the journey that I've been through and to honour my husband. And while I speak about him, his legacy lives on. So it's such a proud moment for me to do that. My worst is probably table topics. That scares the life out of me. I did go in a competition and I did get, I think, to some level, I can't remember what level that was. Everything scares me. I think international is probably the one that scares me the least.
Very good. Well, you are brave, and I have no doubt that we'll be seeing more of you, Philippa. Congratulations for today.
Thank you so much, everybody, and thank you, Judy.
My pleasure. Speaker number 7, River Hill. Here you are, River. Wow. Would you like to share with everybody first of all, we'll go to the participation certificate. Congratulations for your speech today. And could you share with everyone your division, area and club?
Division is Central Division, area is CA, and club is Spiritually Speaking.
Oh,
I'm a member of a number of clubs. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure you've got a lot of people out there on Zoom land who are cheering you on. Tell me, is that a dog tag around your neck, or just?
It's not an Australian Army issue one. The Australian Army issue one's a copper, or they look copper or bronze.
Oh, yeah.
They're more like a hexagon shape. This actually just has my daughter's name on it.
Oh, that's sweet. That's beautiful. Hey, you've got very expressive eyes. When you came up to the camera and showed your eyes, that was really good. I enjoyed that part. Now, would you like to share with us which level of the international contest that you learned the most from?
The club level would have had the biggest shift in myself. Like Philippa, this is my first year competing. I joined Toastmasters during COVID, and I didn't have that belief in myself. And it was friends who are watching right now who encouraged me to compete. And I was like, all right, I'll just do it, because our clubs needed numbers for the contest. And to get that trophy and certificate, there was a huge shift in myself and in my personal belief. In terms of technical skills, it'll be from division to district. Because I had a quick look online at previous winners of district, and I saw Bharat, and I went, yeah, I need to adjust some things here. And so technically, I learned the most at division, but in myself, in my belief, that was at club level.
Brilliant. Wow. Yeah, there is a lot of learning that goes on, and yes, and Bharat is quite formidable as a competitor, but I love hearing stories where I enter the contest to make up the numbers and then you end up being competing at district level. That is so cool. What has been your preparation for this contest?
The district, I've focused on emphasis of words. I've had I've had one person specifically who's been available every single day since division contest to assist me with training. Whenever I need help, send them a message, they're ready. And so it's been not so much practicing my speech, but my speech craft. And that went from everything from, because I'm quite a monotone speaker, naturally. A very monotone speaker. You saw me a year ago, it's just all in the same. So everything's just started reading children's books, trying to get expression happening that way, you know, watching other people's speeches, trying to mimic them, watching movies and listening to music and think about how they, you know, creating that emotion and that sound and that emphasis. There's a lot of stuff I did, yeah.
Well, you certainly were busy with your preparation. That's a lot going on. And what's your favourite contest?
My emotional state, humorous, because it's fun. And the South Australians watching this who saw my humorous know I had a rather infamous humorous contest speech, which was a lot of fun to do. But, you know, Joe was obviously the crowd pleaser, and that's the one that's gone all the way through. And I look for, you know, for the value and meaning that you get, yeah, international contests for sure.
Great. Thank you so much, River. And I'm sure we'll be seeing more of you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. And our last contestant, Janine Wan. Hello there, Janine. And here is your certificate of participation. Congratulations for your speech today.
Thank goodness that little technical hitch happened later, not earlier.
I know, it's, I'll be glad when we do go back to in-person contests, because it can be a bit scary in Zoom land, can't it? Would you like to share with everyone your division, your area and club?
Judy, I'm very proud to represent Q today. We're in area E15, so I'm from Eastern Division.
Yes, very good. And again, Q, another club with a very long history. And Elaine's a member of your club too, isn't she?
Yeah, and she helped me with my preparation, and I really appreciate it.
Oh, that's beautiful. Which level of the international speech contest do you feel you learnt the most from?
I think I learnt the most preparing for this contest because I was so afraid of not presenting well in front of this big audience. I really wanted it to be as good as it could be. So I asked lots of people for their feedback, and that was really helpful and helped me take the speech to another level.
Oh, that's great. And I'm sure you can feel proud of what you did present today.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, that's good. And what has been your preparation for this contest?
Well, unlike Annie, I didn't make trips to Bunnings, but I have been a very frequent flyer at Officeworks. So I bought a flip chart markers, A3 printing, repeat visits. As well as that, I've had club members give me feedback, friends, Toastmasters friends from other clubs give me feedback, and I visited an advanced evaluation club, Devil's Advocates, and they gave me lots of valuable feedback too.
Oh, that's great. It's definitely not a solo effort, is it?
Yeah.
Getting to district. And which is your favourite contest?
I actually like evaluation the best. It's a bit like table topics. It's hard to prepare and you don't know what you're going to get. So it's a bit of a challenge on the day.
Yeah, it is. Well, thank you so much, Janine, for your speech today, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
Well, that concludes the presentation of the participation certificates. We do have the results in. I'm very pleased to say that there have been no disqualifications for time. Yay! Now, Graham, I will just check with you that you are ready to put these certificates up. They're all done. Looks like he is ready, even though he's not saying anything. I'm going to take that as a yes. And perhaps everyone can take themselves off mute. In third place today, international final. Congratulations, Annie. Any
I'm sorry, you're here. The feedback, I'm sorry to say, that's coming from Mark Doherty. So unfortunately, Mark, I've muted you. If you could just stay muted, I'm very sorry, but that's what's causing the feedback. So my apologies for breaking in. Let's go back.
Oh, no, that is okay, because I did find it difficult to announce that third place. Sorry, Annie. Annie Martin, third place. All right. Now we are ready to congratulate our second place getter, Thomas Moore. Congratulations, Thomas. Woohoo! And now to announce first place. First place contestant moves forward to the quarter finals. Please congratulate Jody Dontje. Now, Jody, would you like to say something to everybody?
I can barely talk right now. My partner just came in through the door. I'm so grateful. I actually didn't know if I would even place, I have to be honest. The speakers today were amazing. And I was just so grateful to get to district and make it through division, to be representing our district now in the regional. I am so grateful. So I want to say thank you to everyone for allowing me to be on stage today and speak. So thank you.
The bigger game.
I'm honoured. I'm going to work so hard to make you guys proud if I get through the next one.
Sure.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. And the person who's speaking in the background, could you perhaps just be quiet just for a little bit longer? All right. Sorry, and thank you so much, Jody. I'm so excited for you. And I think this is your first time going forward to the regional final. Yeah. I suppose one good thing about the regional final is that the quarterfinal is that you don't actually have to speak again at that level. So I'm sure you'll be going on further than that. So congratulations again on your presentation today. I would like to thank everyone who has had involvement in the contest today. Sue Pederick for organising everything, Graham as your Zoom master, our international president, Richard Peck, who has been up over in Qatar in the early hours of this morning, and to our Chief Judge, Carl Hughes, to all of the judges, counters and timers, and importantly to everyone who's rolled up on the wave and been here to cheer on all of our contestants. Thank you, everybody.